Good day, everybody. Um, Sorry, it's been a while since I uploaded any video, but then today we're going to look at formatting or how to format your spreadsheet. You know how to format your spreadsheet. So at the end of the day, you should be able to create something like this. This is like an assessment table. So at the end of today's video or this very video, you should be able to create something like this. And also you look at how to format your table to look very appealing. And then with the subsequent video, you look at some functions like average score, maximum score, minimum score, how to do relative cell addressing or referencing, and absolute cell referencing. As a matter of fact, we have another one called mixed cell addressing or referencing. But then for the purpose of the course, we're just going to look at these two. Okay. So let's start our new sheet and then see what we can do for the day. So let's say we're trying to create a report table where we're going to have heading for the columns. Then we're going to have labels to be able to identify our rows. So let's start by typing something. Now, when you're building a heading like this, you should be able to take your time and then be spacing your text very well, because when you try to squeeze the column, the size of the column, and then you text wrap it, that will determine how the text will be arranged in the various headings. Okay, now we've typed our heading. So like I said earlier, we're going to look at how we can format our sheet. So this is the sheet we have before us. We've been able to type the heading, but then we need to format it in such a way that it will be appealing, and then if we should print it, it will be very formal. So now join me and then let's try to format the various column heading. Okay, now we all know that name will be more than the space we've provided here. So let's take some example. Supposing I'm typing my name, or let me use a name like you see that as I type, the name is supposed to be occupying this very cell, but then it has expanded itself to this cell. So what do? We have so many ways of doing this. It's either you double click the line you are seeing between these various column headings or column letters, or you just take your time, and then when your cursor has changed to double-headed horizontal arrow, then you click in between the line that is showing between the column letters A and B. So you click there and then you drag. like this. Good. Or you can just double click here, and then automatically the cell will adjust itself to open the space for the text to fit in well. So that is it. What about the other ones? The content or the values. When I say values, meaning the records we're going to have under these various columns or within the cells. So the values or the records that we are going to have here isn't going to occupy so much space as we have here. So let's say if exercise 1, if the person had 9, look at the figure 9. The figure 9 is so small that it shouldn't be containing the whole of this space. And mind you, we are going to print our work on a paper. So supposing we are going to print our work on a paper, then we should also consider the size of our paper. If we are going to use A4 sheet, we are going to use A5, we should also try to consider that. So the spaces that the various cells will be consuming here will determine the spaces that our work is going to, our space sheet is going to contain, is going to consume. So now, for the purpose of this, we have no option than to reduce the cell. So now you see that as we reduce the cell, you could see that the space for EX1, which is exercise 1, was enough to contain the whole text here. But then what happens if we try to squeeze the column? So let's say we want to provide this space for the values here. Or let me say I'm trying to decrease it a bit. So let's say this is what I want. So that the value here, depending on the number of characters it is going to occupy here, I'll be able to, in fact, format this heading, column heading, in such a way that everything will occupy this very cell, despite the fact that I've reduced or I've shrunk the size of the cell. So let's see. How do I go by this? I just have to select the heading and then go to wrap text. Wrap text. Once I go to wrap text, automatically the cell will adjust itself to contain the text here. And you can see that now, because of the spaces that I provided, it has been able to automatically shifted the 10 down. But then supposing if I had all my text together, like the 1 and then the 10 together. Once I click on the text wrap, look at what will happen. It will move the 1 down in addition to the 10 into the bracket 10. But then since we want to format our text very well, the only thing we have to do is we have to make sure that we separate the text from each other. If they are not together as a complete text, you just have to separate them. So we put a space. Don't forget this, you always have to space your text very well, depending on the relevance of the text. So I click on text wrap and you see that now it has moved the 10 into bracket down, and then I'll be able to format it, position it very well, and then also give it a color, bold it, italics it, or underline it if I want it. So I'm going to do the same to the rest. Now, this, when we were talking about the introduction or the fundamentals, I explained this one. So with this one, this is to help you position your text within the rows, horizontally, within the rows. So when you pick this particular row, we can have the top, we can have the middle, and then we can have the bottom. So you see, it's not only the case that always we can be positioning or we can be aligning our text in a vertical form, like in a column form. No. We have the opportunity or the function to be able to place our text within the row, align it within the row. So here, I'll just try my best to use the former one, which is what? The middle alignment, to post your text in the middle. So you select that one and then you select center alignment. Maybe you are not seeing it very well because my cell is my row is not that too huge. Let me try to increase the space of the row and then see. Now you see that even though I've increase the size of the row, my text is still in the middle of the row. So let's look at the other ones. You see that all the other ones are on the bottom, which means they're using this very alignment function. So let's move on. So I'm just going to do the same to the rest. Well, I just remember that I paused the video, I paused the speed and then explain this thing. You know, it's better to always select the various function you apply to that very cell. So instead of us squeezing or reducing the size of the column first to confuse us, no, just try to click on the text wrap first, and then the middle alignment, and then the center alignment, and then you squeeze it. Because when you do that, as you reduce the size of the cell, then it will be positioning the text for you to see, so that you see when you'll be having problems. So you see, for instance, this one, the open bracket just went down, so I have to go back a bit. Yeah, so that is how you should do it. Okay, very good. Now I have my heading here. Everything is well typed. So the next thing is to format the text I have in my heading. The text I have in my heading. So let me ask myself, is this enough space? Okay, if not, let me try to increase it. Yes. The next thing is, for heading, we all know that it should be what? Be in bold letters. So let me try to bold it. And then again, let me position the name very well. So this is it. This is it. So pause the video and design your heading exactly like this. Then we continue. Hello. I hope you were able to do it. Now let's move on. Now imagine you working on a table like this, and you think you have everything here. So you've typed in your details and all that and all that. But then when you print, you wouldn't see any lines here. This is what I'm trying to say. The lines and then the boxes you are seeing here is to just to guide you, to help you work around your sheet. Now if you want to print it, these lines you are seeing wouldn't show. So in order to make your work more neat and more visible, to know the table you are working in, you have to introduce border lines to help you indicate that this box that, and then this or that. So from what I'm saying, let's see, if you want to print your work, let's say we've typed this and then we want to print it. Let's see if it will be very possible for us to see our lines and then to see our various tables. So let's go to the print. So I go to the print. Now we're going to look at the print preview. You see, this is the print preview. And from what you can see from here, there's no line dividing our various cells, not even the header. So what we have to do is, if we really want to print our work, we have to come back here and then introduce what we call the border lines. So I would prefer to increase the number of cells and rows that I would like to work with. So since this is just practical, I'm just assuming we could be using maximum of 18, let's say 16, 15 rows, 15, 16 rows, and then maximum of, let's say, these columns. Yeah. So with this, once I select this, now you know how to select a cell. You just use the general select cursor, you click, you drag, and then you move on. So you do this, and then you select your borderline. So now we have all borders. So if you want borders around all the cells, you just have to choose all borders. So I've selected all borders, and from here you can see that now my lines are visible and everything is showing. So let's say I want to print. Let's go back and see if the lines will be showing. Voila. So now you are seeing my lines there, very visible. So let's go back. Now let's say we've forgotten that we needed to add a heading. So how do we go about this? Because now definitely we are doing this for institution. So it could be JHS, it could be SS, it could be the university. So let's try to add a row. Now, in order to add a row, you just have to right click on the very cell, or let's right click on the very cell here. So you could either do it on the row headings or here. And then you go to insert. You see, once you go insert, you have your row at the top. Now, always remember this: whenever you select a new row, you want to insert a new row, the new row will always be positioned at the top of the cell you selected. So you can see that I selected this cell, and now the new row came here. So let's try to insert another one and see. I right click and I go to insert. Now I choose from entire row or shape. So all that I want is entire row. So this is exactly like we were using the table in MS Word. So don't be confused. So now I have another row here. Let's try to insert another row in a different way. You just have to select here. Select the very row you want to position your text above. So you select this one, and then you go to insert sheet rows, and then you have it. So supposing I've typed something here and I want to insert row beneath, sorry, I want to insert row beneath this very row. What I have to do is, I don't have to click on this very row to insert it. I just have to click on this row so that the row that will come will be positioned at the top. So automatically, by default, that is how it works. Don't worry. So I'll just select this one, and then there is another way, which is this one. So I select this one and I can insert sheet rows. Then I have it there. Good. So now this is going to be the heading for the university and then the department. So now if I want to type, let's say, University of Education, Winneba. Normally and formally and officially, we need to position our text in such a way that it will be in the middle of our table. Very nice, right? So how do we go about that? And then you know that with Excel, everything is in boxes. This box, and then this box. So the best thing that we can do to make sure that we have our text on a row is to select the entire row up to the ending point of our table. So you can see that the edge of what I've selected is just at the ending part of my table. So don't be confused. Always make sure that you are trying to put your text in a row, in a full row. Select it up to the ending point of your document, sorry, of your sheet, where you want to work, where your page, your table is covering. So this is where my table is covering. So I'll just select the entire row like this, and then we have a function called merge and center. This is it, merge and center. You can choose merge and center if you want it to be placed in the center, and you can choose merge and across if you want it to be across. That is the whole of this row. No, but then we want it to be centered. So let's use this. So let's say you mistakenly merge this row, and you don't want to merge it again. You just have to come back here, and then you click on this small arrow, and then you select unmerge. Then you have everything back. So now you've learned how to merge and then unmerge, and then you've learned how to position your text within the rows and then within the various traditional alignment, which is the center, right, and then the left. Good. So let's move on. So I'll go back and then repeat my action, merge and center, and then here I'll try to merge and type the department name. So what do I have to type? Let's use political science. So group, okay, group 1. I would rather prefer to type the group 1 here. So I'll insert another row and then I'll merge it again. So now do it, merge it. So we have group 1 and 2. Group 1 and 2. Okay. So now you know how to format your text in Excel. So go ahead. Let's all format it. I'm doing mine, so do yours. Now I'm just increasing the size. So nice. So now let's look at how our table will be if we should print it. We go to print and then we check that from the print preview. From Excel, we got to know that the whole of this thing is print preview, so don't confuse yourself. So now there is a mistake here. There's a mistake here. Look at where our text is showing. So let's go back and then look at it. This is so because when I went to print preview, the system or the Microsoft Excel gave the size of my page, my paper to print my work on, like with a measurement of A4 paper. So if possible, I have to go back there and then change it so that this short dotted lines you are seeing here will be off. But this is affecting our print preview. It is not quite necessary for the course though, but let's try to do it. So I choose my layout, my size. No, size is not really important. Let me choose the orientation. So once I choose the orientation, everything will be okay. So now you can see that my text, my heading is now in the middle of my table. So let's go on. Now you can see that the line has been moved to this point. So yes, we've now been able to create a table and then we formatted it very well. So do this on your own. Try creating a table and then make it look exactly like this. Introduce your heading, merge your cells, and then create your headings very well. And then so let's try to solve some problem. You see that when I increase the boldness of my text, the M just moved down. So the best thing is to just go back a bit, and then you are through. Okay, so thank you for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed. But then let me add one more thing. You can still change the color of your columns or rows by using the fill color tool. So you see, as I move my cursor on the lines, the colors are changing. So the same way you can apply it to a row. So you see that as you move it, the row will be changing. So whichever way, whenever you want to change the color, just select whenever you want to change the color of a column, just select the particular column and then use the fill color tool. Or you can come this way and then you have default ones here, samples here. You just have to select and then everything will be okay. So that is it. So let's prepare ourselves for the next video. With the next video, we're going to work on calculations, how we are going to use the calculation functions, right? The calculation functions like addition, subtraction, multiplication, divisions, how to check for the maximum, the minimum, the average, the counting, how to use the if statement or the conditions, how to compare and all that. So let's try to end this video and then start a new lesson. Thank you for watching.